The OKP-7 is a pretty cool optic. It's in all the popular shooters these days, and is quite good in most of them. I've wanted one for a very long time, but there's one problem. The real ones are incredibly rare and very expensive. So, I just accepted that I would never get to shoot one, let alone own one. Until now. In the past few months, Chinese replicas of the OKP-7 have been popping up everywhere. By all accounts, these are actually decent for the price, and the price is a fraction of what you would pay for the real thing. So, I immediately bought one. Just like the real thing, the clone OKP-7s are offered in both a dovetail mount and Picatinny rail mount version. Of course, I went for the dovetail one. Normally, I wouldn't do an unboxing, but given how little information there is on these clones, I figured I would. The box itself lists both the OKP-7 and OKP-77, as well as a number of other Russian optics. Is this a sign of things to come? Who knows, but it would be interesting to try out clones of these other optics. In the box is a cleaning lens cloth, set of LR44 batteries, a sticker of the Preislinerad logo, and a reprint of the original OKP-7 manual. The sticker is meant to go on the left side of the optic here. As for the manual, it's all in Russian, so I unfortunately can't read any of it. The optic itself comes in this pouch, and also has a black covering. It also comes with a piece of 3M black tape. This is very important, but we'll get to that later. Using the optic itself is fairly simple. The brass button at the back is your on and off switch. Press down to turn it on, and push it back up to turn it off. To install the battery, you need to undo the large Phillips head screw at the back. It'll fit 2 LR44 batteries. Make sure the positive side of the battery faces outward. The 2 flathead screws are for windage and elevation adjustment. The screws have a decent amount of click to them, which allows you to be somewhat precise about adjusting zero. Mounting the optic is also fairly simple. Line it up with the AK dovetail of your choice, and tighten the Allen screw at the bottom. I do wish they had replicated the QD lever system instead, but there are Allen screw versions of the real OKP-7. It's not a deal breaker, but the QD lever would be much more convenient to remove and reinstall. As for the construction of the optic itself, it feels okay. The body of the optic is likely made out of some type of Zamac, not aluminum. It seems like it's held together by a number of very small screws. Time will tell whether these back out, but for now, they've held up. The housing around the lens has always been my biggest concern with the OKP-7. Having it in hand, it feels okay. It doesn't feel like I can bend it with my hand, but I wouldn't trust it to survive a hard fall. It seems like this housing is meant to protect the lens. This kind of works. It shields the lens from most rain, but it is possible for rain to get on the lens. It's not a fault of the company making the repro, but rather, a design flaw with the original OKP-7 itself. But nevertheless, it is a flaw. Speaking of the lens, they are interesting. It's essentially one big piece of glass that's held on by one clip. I'm not sure how durable this will be in the long term. I could see the lens flying out after a hard fall. But the biggest problem with the lens is the amount of reflection these lenses have. When you look through, you can see the emitter and the body of the optic in the glass. It's distracting, even when shooting both eyes open. This is where the black tape comes in. The idea is for you to put the black tape on the body of the optic to reduce the amount it reflects in the glass. I used hockey tape to mess with the placement, but found that it worked well enough that I haven't bothered to replace it with the provided 3M tape. But even with the tape on, there's still enough reflection to notice. There's another problem with the OKP-7 that's derived from the real thing. The OKP-7 has no manual brightness adjustment. The OKP-7 was originally meant to adjust automatically based on ambient lighting, so a user wouldn't have to fiddle with it when going into different lighting conditions. In extreme lighting differences, such as a very bright day or in darkness, the sensor works pretty well. But when it's an overcast day, the reticle does not lower in brightness enough. This makes the reticle appear more like a green blob during these types of days. Normally, the The reticle is quite crisp, but when the brightness can adjust properly, it borders on unusable. And perhaps the biggest problem of all, this optic has a ton of parallax. This means that if you aren't perfectly behind the sight, you'll likely miss your target. Most modern red dots are practically parallax-free, meaning you'll be able to hit what you want even when not perfectly looking through the optic. But with this clone OKP-7, this is not the case. The websites selling this clone state that it's for Airsoft use only, and I will say that on my Tokyo Marui AKM GBBR, this optic has held 0. But for the price, it does have a considerable amount of limitations. If you want the OKP-7 because you saw it in your favorite video game, and want to see what the closest representation of the real thing is like, then absolutely go for it. It's the closest thing you'll get to the real thing without blowing a grand. But if you're looking for a practical optic, there are better choices for the price. Go with a budget real steel red dot instead, like a SIG Romeo 5. For me, I'm going to continue using it, despite its downsides. The reticle is neat, and I've never really messed with a green reticle before. And most importantly, it just looks cool on an AK. I'll use it for the next few months, and maybe I'll do an update. For those of you cool enough to stay till the end, here's a spoiler. Next main channel video is on the OKP-7. Go figure. I spent way too much on this thing, and need to justify its purchase.